Tae Jungkook popped his head inside their bedroom to see Tae perched up on their bed, ankles crossed, reading some kind of psychology book that Jungkook didn't understand. Tae only hummed to show he was listening, even though he wasn't looking at Jungkook. Jungkook had just gotten back home from work, still clad in his dull office clothes. Tae had been home for hours. "We need to talk about what." Tae still didn't look away from his book. "I just feel." Jungkook paused, trying to figure out how to phrase what he was about to say. He starts to change out of his work clothes while he thinks. Tae didn't even look up then. Their physical attraction for each other was waning. No matter how cliché it sounds, they only every once in a while. It just wasn't passionate love anymore. All it was just a need for release. Once Jungkook had changed into pajamas that were way too big for him, probably ones that he had stolen from Tae years back, he sat at the edge of their bed hesitantly as though it didn't belong to him. "We don't see each other enough." "What do you mean?" Tae raised a brow. "Oblivious." "I'm getting there." Jungkook ground his teeth, loudly. Tae didn't seem to notice as he was completely infatuated with whatever page he was on. "Can you look at me? Please," Jungkook pleaded, obviously annoyed at Taehyung's behavior. Taehyung sighed as he shut his book, sticking his thumb in his page as a bookmark. "I'm just at work all the time and you're always here. You know I keep telling you to quit your job and you never do." "Cookie, I'm not gonna quit my job," Jungkook hissed. Taehyung put his hands up in defense. "Anyway, I just don't like how we only get to see each other when it's time for bed. And even then, I'm just too exhausted to catch up and talk to you about your day." "Well," Taehyung moved the book to the side, sitting up in a crisscross position, facing Jungkook this time. "We're here. Why don't we talk now?" Taehyung suggested cheerfully. Jungkook groaned. Taehyung did this every time. He knew Taehyung was a natural problem solver and would do anything to solve a problem as quickly as possible, but Jungkook just wanted to talk. They need to debrief. Not just find a temporary solution. Since they are in this for the long haul, their solutions must last. Jungkook knew this was gonna kill him later. "Fine, Taehyung's days are quite interesting." Jungkook pressed his cheek against the car window. "He's been thinking about Taehyung too much." "Well, it's hard not to when he's your life. Not in your life but built up the pedestal that Jungkook currently stands on." Taehyung left a permanent mark, a stain if you will. A deep, red stain that won't wash out no matter how many times he tries. His phone had been vibrating non-stop in his pocket. He ripped it out to turn on Do Not Disturb. Whatever it is could wait until morning. He may have just had the biggest night in his career, but it didn't feel that way. It didn't satisfy him. It was unfulfilling. Jungkook wouldn't say it was ruined, but it was pretty damn close. Taehyung stained his life and his evening. Jungkook woke up on the wrong side of the bed, figuratively and literally. He always sleeps on the left and today, he woke up on the right side. His static hair clung to his pillow in an uncomfortable manner. The sun was unusually bright for a winter morning. He aggressively rubbed his eyes to get used to the brightness. He threw his arm across his bed and onto his nightstand in search of his phone. He could feel it buzzing through the mahogany and found it soon after. He held the screen up to his face, immediately noticing the onslaught of notifications from Instagram and Twitter. He groaned. What happened this time? Oh, Jungkook was seen weeping during Kim Tae-hyung's performance on The Tonight Show. Duke's Kim Tae-hyung's performance of Love Me Again brought Jungkook to tears past romance. Apple News heartthrob Kim Tae-hyung made Ji and Jungkook cry. Jungkook scrolled past the articles to see a video taken of him by a fan in the audience. Jungkook turned up his brightness since the video was quite dim. But you could see him. Every detail. The chills crawling up the bones of his spine, his nose twitching as he sniffled, a tear on his cheek. The video ended with his hands wiping his cheeks and the lights turning back on. He mumbled, "Maybe the video isn't that popular. I hope Jungkook gets hit by a car. He's a terrible writer and a horrible person. Jungkook doesn't deserve Taehyung. God, my worst nightmare is coming true." Have you seen Jungkook's dating history? He's practically a man whose line is waterline once he had finished reading. They hate me already. Already? We aren't even together? Threw his phone across the room. He ducked under the safety of his covers as his phone slammed against the wall. Sometimes he hated being famous. Social media has become his friend and his enemy. Reminds him of someone he knows. Criticism was a wall he was often met with. But this isn't criticism. It's just hate. All over a stupid rumor. A rumor that may or may not have once been true. Luckily all the records are scrubbed clean, or are they? Jungkook crawled out of bed at the thought in search of his phone. He located it in the back corner of his room, hidden in the shadows, face down. He rested on his knees to pick it up, immediately noticing that he had shattered the screen. Would be one too many coins in the sweat jar. He flicked his wrist around in a circle to inspect the damage. His broken reflection stared back at him. "I need to call Yungi," you knew, Jungkook roared. "Maybe I did, maybe I didn't." Jungkook glared at his best friend. Jungkook had just found out that Yungi knew about Taehyung's appearance on Jimmy Fallon this whole time. Of course, Jungkook was enraged. "Okay, I did know, but I tried to tell you when. When did you try to tell me you don't talk to anyone anymore? You are impossible to reach. You never leave the house except for work." Jungkook scoffed. He can't possibly be serious. "Of course, I leave the house. I'm not a hermit," Jungkook huffed. "When was the last time you bought groceries? When was the last time you went out to a club?" Radio silence. "When was the last time you went on a date?" Jungkook's shoulders sagged as he gave in. Jungkook did make himself quite impossible to reach. That's why Yungi was so excited to see him the other night. It's not just a best friend thing. Or maybe it is. He'll never tell. That's it. We are going out tonight and we are going to find you a big, strong, hunky man. I'm not a virgin and please don't say it like that. Yungi waved a dismissing hand. If anything, Taehyung was very vanilla. If Jungkook was being honest, it was quite the opposite. But of course, Jungkook would never tell. At least not yet. "Stick around, wink wink, I'm sure tasted like it too," Yungi commented nonchalantly. Jungkook smacked Yungi's shoulder, to which he snickered. "Doesn't this feel?" He questioned Yungi's outfit choices for him tonight, even though Yungi has never failed him. "Oh, please. You need to stop dressing like a nun." Yungi was yanking clothes from Jungkook's closet, continuously throwing them at Jungkook back an accident. "Let me see your phone." Yungi made grabby hands like a needy child. "Why you gotta tweet something?" "About what?" "You act like I'm the most boring person in the world." Jungkook crossed his arms, defensively. "You're the biggest celebrity in the world because you wrote a book about leaving your ex-husband, who's also the world's most famous singer." "Give me, Taoche." Jungkook handed it over promptly. Yungi was not one to argue with. "Trust me, I've known him for over a decade. Please don't ruin my career or get me sued. Jungkook peeked over the top of his phone that was currently in Yoongi's hand. Still broken, of course, but Jane might be a little mad. Nothing some strong liquor won't fix. God, I hate you. Jungkook rubbed his eyes in emotional agony. His eyes bore into his own reflection as he gazed into the mirror. He didn't look like himself. He looked better, but not himself. Maybe Yoongi was right. He should step out of his comfort zone. He's just nervous, that's all. Maybe he's thinking too much about moving on. Yoongi tossed Jungkook's phone into the comforters. Jungkook practically nosedived to get it as Yoongi swanted off after he practically dropped a bomb on Jungkook's entire well-being. I'm gonna hail a cab. You don't have to do that anymore. Jungkook aggressively punched in his passcode while trying not to get broken glass in his fingers. Just for old time's sake. We'll feel normal again. The door slammed shut. Jungkook slid into the cab. The box, please. Yoongi's fingers flew across his phone screen as he directed the cab driver. Yoongi, he elbowed his friend. Manners, please. I still have my manners. Yeah, no. He stuck his nose up, watching the city lights flash by in a blur. If Jungkook was being honest, he himself could be quite entitled. I'm too busy trying to find you a date. I have someone in mind. Jungkook looked down at his broken phone once more, trying not to stare at his fractured appearance for too long. He should have asked the driver to take them to the Apple store. Yoongi's fingers stopped tapping abruptly. Who? Jungkook shrugged. Daniel, you're not gonna shag your old boss, Yoongi gasped. Jungkook shrugged once more. He's attractive, but he did lay it on pretty thick, didn't he? Maybe that's what I like, Jungkook snapped back. Or are you just doing it to make Taehyung jealous? You know how much he hated him. What a joyous memory Yoongi had just unlocked.